Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. We're talking Julian Timber. We are talking Dusan Vlahovic is back on the Arsenal radar. We'll be talking Thomas Partey. Granit Xhaka is a done deal. He's gone. Now Thomas Partey. Talks are accelerating for him to join Saudi Arabian clubs as well. And we'll be talking Romeo Lavia. Liverpool are trying to get that deal done, and they're trying to hijack the Arsenal move. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Let's get this video to 500 likes. In the comment box below, would you prefer Arsenal to sign a striker in the profile of Dusan Vlahovic? Already we have Gabriel Jesus. I don't know what you think about Gabriel Jesus. Can he score 20 goals a campaign? That is a big question. And would you be happy if Arsenal went on to add on a striker like Dusan Vlahovic? Probably to enhance our title challenge, but also to help us in Europe, because we're going to have a lot of games, and Edin Ketia and Florin Balogun could be living as well. So we're going to be diving into the Dusan Vlahovic saga and what exactly it means to Arsenal. Now, let's start off with the Declan Rice update, because it's one of those stories that have taken a little bit of a tumble. It's just silent, right? Now, Fabrizio Romano has said that at the moment, Arsenal and West Ham have almost agreed upon each and everything. We expect Declan Rice to do his medicals this week, and we expect that deal to be announced this week as well. There is nothing in terms of setbacks. There are no setbacks. There are no hijackings. It is just big money being counted, big money being taken off by the accounting departments of both clubs. So there will be some time taken, but there is nothing. Medicals this week, announcement expected this week as well. Now, look, I think I've seen players back in training. I've seen players back from their holidays. Leandro Trossard is back. Gabriel Jesus is back. Rob Holding is back as well. Who else have you seen? Ben White is back. I mean, let me know in the comment box below. The boys that you have seen coming back for training just 1 month after, just 1 month to the opening of the Premier League. But the boys are back, and that means that Declan Rice's holiday is also over as well, right? And I think it's one of the things that have been, letting this deal stay a long time, because it's been, on his holidays. He has to come back to his medicals and things like that. I don't know whether he goes back to West Ham and says his goodbyes, but I really reckon that he will go back to West Ham and do, the due diligence of saying goodbye and farewell. And this has been a very, very nice place. But at the moment, Fabrizio says that there is nothing Arsenal fans should be worried of. The deal for Declan Rice is done. Medicals scheduled, and everything should be prepared by the end of this week. We should have a here we go for Declan Rice. Now, let's talk about Declan Rice before we get into the Romeo Lavia story. Sorry, Dusan Vlahovic, before we get into the Romeo Lavia story. So the story around Dusan Vlahovic is that Arsenal have been linked with Dusan Vlahovic again. Arsenal really, really appreciate the player, and they would love to sign him if an opportunity arises. But it is also very difficult to see them go and do this deal this summer, right? So it could be a deal that Arsenal would fancy to do probably in January or even in the summer of 2024. Now, the fact that we need a striker is plainly open. I think Edin Ketia is not the type that wins you the Premier League. I don't think Edin Ketia is not the type that wins you the UEFA Champions League. But there is the argument that because Edin Ketia is not going to be playing every week, and Edin Ketia is happy to sit on the bench and play around 400, 500 minutes per season, there are not so many players you're going to sign that are going to come into the squad and will be willing to sit on the bench and wait for Gabriel Jesus, and then they come on. Now, I personally disagree with that. I've looked at Inter Milan for the last 2 seasons. Inter Milan have had Romelu Lukaku, they've had Edin Dzeko, they have Lautaro Martinez, and they've had Joaquin Correa as well. Although you might not say Joaquin Correa is a striker, but you can easily say that Inter Milan have had 4 quality strikers, and somehow they've kept them. Right? Yes, Edin Dzeko is leaving, but they're looking to sign a replacement. And that is the mentality. That is the levels that Arsenal should be on. We should be able to have 5 players playing in one position, and those players should be quality, right? And that's why I think with Dusan Vlahovic, it might be a difficult one. But if Arsenal can pull it off, it's a good deal. It's a really, really good deal. Look, forget all this agent not picking our calls. Forget all that crap of the player snapping Arsenal. Right now, he's for sale. Right now, Juve are open to selling and they're open to listening to offers. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, all those clubs are interested. And that shows you the quality and level that he can perform at. If you're going to outperform Manchester City, if you're going to fight Manchester City for the title, for the FA Cup, because they will try to defend it, for, our battle with Manchester City starts with a Community Shield. That is where it starts. So if you're going to fight City for the rest of the season, start to end, you will need a goal scorer. You will need to buy goals. And for me, Dusan Vlahovic is a player that would, straight away fit into every side that would sign him. I see him at Bayern to replace Robert Lewandowski. I see him at Barca to replace Robert Lewandowski as well. I see him at Madrid to replace Benzema. I see him at Arsenal. And I see him at Liverpool. Like, he's a player that would fit into every squad, every starting 11. Good goal scorer, very, 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 very good. Now, how much would the deal cost? In my opinion, Juve will try to get as much as they spend on this deal. I won't be surprised if Juve go, we want around 50 million. We want around 60 million. But for me, 50 million or 60 million for a player like Dusan Vlahovic, that is an absolute steal. That would be an absolute steal for Dusan Vlahovic. I don't think there are so many top strikers that you'll get for 50 million. I mean, if you just ran a scan on the market, Victor Osimhen is 150 million. That's what we're talking about. Harry Kane is 100 million, right? The likes of Rasmus Haaland, around 80 million. Right, so if you're talking and thinking of top class, real class strikers, you're talking Dusan Vlahovic and you're talking big money. So Arsenal are interested in signing Dusan Vlahovic. We are linked again with the Serbian striker. Now, look, I don't think Dusan Vlahovic is still at the peak as he was when we tried to sign him in 2022 January. He's not there anymore. I think his performances have dipped a little bit, and he's been affected by injuries and the bad run at Juventus. That gives us an upper hand. That gives us an advantage. When you go in and you tell Juve, you actually have to pay this deal over 5 years. How about we give you some money up front, some good cash up front, and get this deal done for 45 million? Because still, Juve don't have any guarantees that a club will come and swoop in to buy him. I think Madrid are focused on Mbappe. I think Bayern are focused on Harry Kane. And the fact that Bayern are focused on Harry Kane over Dusan Vlahovic. Vlahovic is something like 9 years or 8 years younger than Harry Kane. That shows you that many people look at this deal as a very good deal. Like, he's a good player, but there is a risk involved. And the risk is that you're signing a player who has had a massive drop-off in game time, in confidence, in goal scoring, in finishing, and in everything, right? And so his confidence has been affected. If you sign him, it's one or the other. He either straight away hits the jackpot, or you actually have to give him some time, which at times doesn't work out. Like, he might turn out to be the next Alvaro Morata. He will be oscillating between big clubs, but he will never settle down somewhere and you go, he's had a wonderful, wonderful career with Juventus or with Atletico Madrid. So for me, in my opinion, Dusan Vlahovic, still, that is a deal Arsenal should do. Big striker, huge striker, offers something different. He's a talent as well. I think we should go for Dusan. You sign Declan Rice for 100 million. You sign a goal scorer for 50 million. You sign a real centre-back in Gilles Timber. That is a complete window. Like, that is a really complete window for Arsenal. But let's wait and see if Mikel Arteta will press ahead to sign Dusan Vlahovic. Now, Granit Xhaka's deal to Bayer Leverkusen is done and dusted. Xhaka to Leverkusen is done and dusted. Arsenal have agreed a deal, £21.5 million to get the player out of the way. Thomas Partey's deal is next one. Now, I tell you what, I want to commend Edu for the work he's done on the Xhaka deal. Ever since Xhaka communicated his intention to leave, and ever since Arsenal knew that they were not going to stay with Xhaka next season, we've done very well in terms of handling the pressure so that Bayer Leverkusen do not actually come in and take our player for only 10, 13 million. We've managed to press an amount of up to 21.5 million for a 30-year-old. That is wonderful. Of course, Chelsea have sold Kovacic for 30 million. That is even better, right? But we are looking at a player in Granit Xhaka who almost left Arsenal for free. We're talking about a player who almost left Arsenal for 2 million, 5 million, or even less than 10. Right now, Arsenal have refurbished him and is going to cost 21.5 million pounds. Good work, Edu. That is how you sell. Now, Thomas Partey. Let's talk about Partey. How much do we get from the sale of Thomas Partey? In my opinion, he should stay. Like, we should keep him. But there is that time when you now agree that a player is gonna go. There is that time when you resign to the fact that you're going to lose the player. And I think that time is now. We will lose Thomas Partey. Arsenal asking for 40 million, and talks are expected to be accelerating this week. With Granit Xhaka now out of the way, we expected Granit Xhaka to leave this week. He has left. We also expect Thomas Partey's talks to accelerate. I think Thomas Partey, he's 30 as well. He has a longer contract than Granit Xhaka to go. I think if you were to sell the two assets, Partey is the better asset, in my opinion. Arsenal could get more money selling Partey than selling Granit Xhaka. Because Xhaka has had these mediocre performances throughout his 7 years at Arsenal, that anyone would go, you see, the player I'm buying, the player you're selling me is not even that good. But with Thomas Partey, when he's been good, he's been absolutely very, very good, especially last campaign. So if it's Al Nassr, Al Khaleji, Al Hilal, I don't even know how you pronounce those names that sound very, very similar in the Saudi Arabian Pro League. But the point is, Xhaka should cost them Partey should cost them upwards of 40 million. 45 is fine. 50 is fine, but for me, 60 million pounds for Thomas Partey could be done. I see Arsenal negotiating 50 million plus 10 in add-ons. I don't know how add-ons would be like for Saudi Arabian players. Like if Al Khaleji win the league, maybe, or something like that, we will give you some more money, something like that. But I think Partey could go for he should go for about 60 or 55 to 60. So Thomas Partey's stocks will accelerate, and that will be the end of an era for Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka's midfield duo. Now, lastly, Arsenal are reluctant to pay the 50 million being asked for in Romeo Lavia by Southampton, and Liverpool have gone on to press ahead of us in the deal. Liverpool are leading the rest. Liverpool are willing to pay the 50 million. Liverpool feel if anything, we should be getting the deal done for Romeo Lavia. I want to say this with this one. I think we don't need a bidding war for Romeo Lavia. Romeo Lavia comes in as a replacement for Albert Sambi-Lokonga, in my opinion, in my understanding. Romeo Lavia comes in as a backup to Declan Rice. Yes, there is all this talk about if Partey leaves, then Lavia, and that actually makes the deal difficult. Because one, Partey is not leaving yet, right? He has not gone yet. So Liverpool still have the advantage of going into that deal and negotiating a deal and agreeing a deal ahead of Arsenal before we can sort out the future of Thomas Partey. But what I think here is that Arsenal don't need to go into a bidding war for Romeo Lavia. If the player wants to join Arsenal only, then we can get our package, 40 million, front it onto the table for Southampton. They either accept it or reject it. But if Liverpool are there, and Arsenal are there, and Chelsea could be there, and Man United are there, in my opinion, Arsenal should just lay low, keep a simple profile, right? And if all these teams are just, blowing whistles and, creating smoke screens, we will eventually get him. But if Liverpool badly want him, I will have to presume that Liverpool will be willing to pay in excess of 50 million. They've paid 70 for Dominic Szoboszlai. They've paid Szoboszlai, actually. They paid 35 for McAllister. They have money to spend. Watch out for Liverpool. They have money to spend. So we might not want to go toe-to-toe with Liverpool on the signing of Romeo Lavia. So I could see this as a deal that depends on the player. If he goes, I choose Arsenal, we might have to sign him for around 40, 45. But if it's going to be anyone who wins the bid signs the player, I don't think we can compete with Liverpool, especially after signing a player worth 100 million and two others worth 100 million as well. It might be a little bit difficult for us. But Romeo Lavia, Liverpool lead the rest, and Arsenal are still there as well.